The Emperor's Quiet Order. Imagine this. You wake up one morning, and everything you thought was secure begins to collapse. Your investments crash overnight. Your company faces lawsuits. Your health falters. Friends vanish. And the people who promised loyalty, they disappear when you need them most. Now picture that you are not an ordinary person, but the most powerful man in the world, the Roman Emperor. The empire stretches across continents, but at this very moment, it trembles under plague, war, and political betrayal. Every senator whispers about you. Every soldier waits for your command. If you break, Rome breaks. Marcus Aurelius faced this exact reality. But instead of screaming, panicking, or blaming others, he sat down with a wax tablet and a stylus and wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That line wasn't meant for the public. It wasn't a speech to the Senate. It was a command he gave himself, a quiet order, a rule to live by. And that is where our journey begins. Radical responsibility. Pardon. The weight of an empire. Marcus Aurelius was not born into comfort. He was born into duty. At 39 years old, he became emperor, inheriting the most powerful empire of his time. Within just a few years, he faced challenges that could crush anyone. The Antonine Plague wiped out nearly 10 million people across the empire. Germanic tribes invaded the northern borders, threatening collapse. Even inside Rome, betrayal brewed. His own generals plotted against him. Most leaders would crumble. Many emperors before him drowned themselves in pleasure, alcohol, or bloodshed to escape the pressure. But Marcus chose a different path. He believed that if Rome fell, it should not be because its emperor refused to govern himself. This is why he wrote Meditations, not as a book for us, but as a diary, a private manual to remind himself of the one truth. I cannot control the plague. I cannot control betrayal. I cannot control the market of war, but I can control myself. Part number 2, Why Radical Responsibility Creates Millionaires. You might think, nice philosophy, but what does this have to do with money, wealth, or success today? The answer is simple. Wealth is a mirror of responsibility. Look around. Studies from the National Endowment for Financial Education show that 70% of lottery winners lose everything within 5 years. Why? Because they never took responsibility for managing money before they had it. On the other hand, Warren Buffett, worth over $100 billion, still drives the same modest car and lives in the same house he bought in 1958. Why? Because he took full responsibility for his habits, his decisions, and his discipline. Millionaires aren't made by luck. They're made by radical responsibility, the refusal to blame, the refusal to outsource, the refusal to play victim. Marcus Aurelius teaches us, you are not the emperor of Rome, but you are the emperor of your mind. And if you cannot govern yourself, you cannot govern your finances, your business, or your future. Part 3, the brutal truth that hits deep. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Everything wrong in your life is your responsibility, even if it's not your fault. Was it your fault that your parents didn't teach you financial literacy? No, but it is your responsibility now. Was it your fault that the market crashed, inflation spiked, or a pandemic closed your job? No, but it is your responsibility to adapt. Was it your fault someone betrayed you? No, but it is your responsibility to heal and move forward. Radical responsibility doesn't mean you caused the problem. It means you own the solution. This mindset is the difference between people who collapse under pressure and people who build empires. Part 4. The science of ownership psychology backs this up. A study from the University of Miami showed that individuals who adopted a locus of control mindset, believing they controlled their destiny, were 43% more likely to achieve their financial goals than those who believed in external luck. Neuroscience explains why. When you blame others, your brain reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the planning and decision-making area. But when you accept responsibility, dopamine levels rise, creating motivation to act. Responsibility literally rewires your brain for success. Key to Part 5, Modern Stories of Radical Responsibility. Oprah Winfrey was born in poverty, abused, told she had no future. She could have lived her life blaming the world. Instead, she said, "You are responsible for your life. You can't keep blaming somebody else for your dysfunction." Life is really about moving on. Today, she's a billionaire. Elon Musk could have retired after selling PayPal for $180 million. Instead, he invested almost all of it into Tesla and SpaceX, sleeping on couches when things went wrong. Radical responsibility meant betting on himself, not luck. Today, is one of the richest men alive. J.K. Rowling was a single mother on welfare. Nobody forced her to keep writing at calves with her baby in a stroller. But she took responsibility for her dream. Harry Potter sold 600 million copies worldwide. Different fields, same principle. Responsibility, resilience, results. Caparza Sixtum. Practical exercises for the viewer. Now, how do you apply Marcus Aurelius's radical responsibility in your daily life? Here are 5 exercises. 1. The one-sentence standard. I am fully responsible for my time, my money, and my emotions. Place it on your phone wallpaper or your desk. Read it daily. 2. The mirror test. Tonight, before bed, ask, what did I complain about today? Then reframe, what part of this do I control? Write one action step for tomorrow. 3. The 72-hour rule. When disaster strikes, lost deal. Broken relationship, wait 72 hours before reacting. During that time, list 3 things still under your control. 4. The responsibility ledger. Track 2 columns. Excuses I made versus actions I took. Watch how your wealth grows when column 2 becomes longer. 5. The weekly audit. Every Sunday ask, did I act as emperor of my mind or a slave to my impulses? Score yourself from 100. Adjust next week. Right. The emotional power of responsibility. Responsibility is not a burden. It is liberation. Why? Because when you take responsibility, you stop waiting for the world to save you. You stop hoping for the perfect economy, the perfect partner, or the perfect timing. Marcus Aurelius never waited for peace. He created it inside himself. You don't wait for motivation, you generate it by action. You don't wait for opportunity, you create it through discipline. This is the true Stoic wealth, a mind that cannot be bankrupt. Dusher part of a shock moment, viewer retention spike. Let me ask you something shocking. If you lost everything tomorrow, your job, your house, your reputation, what would remain? If your answer is nothing, then you've built your life on sand. If your answer is my discipline, my skills, my responsibility, then you built your life on stone. Radical responsibility ensures that no matter what burns down, you always have the tools to rebuild. The part 9. Marcus Aurelius's final lesson. When Marcus Aurelius was dying, he gathered his son and advisors. His empire was still fragile, wars still raging, yet his final instruction was not about armies, taxes, or palaces. It was this: do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. In today's world, don't act like you have 10,000 chances to take responsibility. This week is your chance. This moment is your chance. Your part UX. Transition to Rule 1. Radical responsibility is Rule 0, because it unlocks all others. If you don't own your time, you cannot master your calendar. If you don't own your spending, you cannot build a fortress fund. If you don't own your emotions, you cannot endure compounding. Responsibility is the foundation. From here, we move to Rule 1, the sphere of control: how to govern your cash flow and your calendar like an emperor. Rule 1, the sphere of control: cash flow and calendar. Opening story: the emperor who could not stop the plague. In the year 165 AD, Rome was burning not with fire, but with sickness. The Antonine plague spread like wildfire. Soldiers returning from the east carried death in their lungs. Families fled cities. Crops rotted. The empire's wealth drained as fast as the fever spread. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, stood before an impossible reality. He could not stop the plague. He could not order the disease away, but he could still govern one empire that mattered most, his mind. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Meditations, Book 12. This was not a metaphor. It was survival. He understood, if I focus on what is outside my control, I waste my power. If I focus on what I can govern, I multiply my power. And that is the essence of Rule 1. Today, you may not govern armies, but you govern two domains that determine your wealth: your cash flow and your calendar. Your Part 1. Why cash flow and calendar are the empire of the modern mind in ancient Rome. Land and legions built empires. In today's world, your cash flow, how money moves through your life, and your calendar, how time moves through your life, are your legions. Ignore them, and chaos will invade. Control them, and you build a fortress no recession, betrayal, or accident can easily break. Ask yourself two brutal questions. 1. Do you know exactly where every dollar you earn goes each month? 2. Do you know exactly where every hour you spend goes each day? If your answer is vague, then you are not emperor, you are prisoner. Part 2. The illusion of control. Most people obsess over things they cannot control. The stock market crashing, the government printing money, the boss who doesn't give them a raise, the competition releasing a new product. But Marcus would remind you, don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well. Epictetus. You cannot control the market, but you can control your cash flow. You cannot control the economy, but you can control your calendar. The question is not whether storms will come. They will. The question is, will you have a ship strong enough to sail through? Part 3. The wealthy few who mastered it. Warren Buffett once said, "The rich invest in time, the poor invest in money." His wealth didn't come from chasing trends. It came from decades of compounding, made possible because he controlled his calendar with brutal discipline, spending hours reading, not rushing. Jeff Bezos explained that he schedules as few decisions as possible per day. Why? Because decision fatigue is a hidden tax on your calendar. The fewer trivial things he controls, the more energy he has for billion-dollar moves. An ordinary family in the U.S. earning $70,000 a year who builds a strict 50-30-20 budget, needs, wants, investments, and tracks it monthly can retire 10 years earlier than the average American, according to Fidelity's 2023 data. Why? Because they controlled their cash flow, not the market. Wealth is not luck, it is governance of the empire you already have. Part 4. Numbers that shock. According to U.S. Bank, 73% of Americans die with debt, not because they didn't earn enough, but because they didn't control their spending. Deloitte's research shows that people waste 21.8 hours per week on low-value activities like unnecessary meetings, notifications, and scrolling. That's over 1,000 hours a year, enough to master a new high-income skill or launch a side business. A Harvard Business Review study revealed that executives who time-block their priorities are 60% more productive and report 2x higher satisfaction in both wealth and health. The data is brutal. If you don't control your cash flow and calendar, they control you. The Stoic framework applied. Marcus Aurelius saw his empire as fragile, always under siege. He didn't waste time wishing it were different. He wrote battle orders for his mind. You must do the same for your finances and schedule. Think of cash flow as your legions. Money must have assignments. Soldiers without orders create chaos. Think of calendar as your fortress walls. Time unguarded is time stolen. Invader social media, gossip, procrastination, breach the walls. The Stoic doesn't complain about the world's chaos. The Stoic builds order inside. Part 6. Practical system, the 4-bucket budget. 1. Essentials, 50%. Rent, food, utilities, transport. Survival. 2. Skill build, 20%. Courses, books, coaching, tools, multiply earning power. 3. Asset build, 20%. Investments, index funds, crypto, real estate, business capital. 4. Joy, 10%. Travel, leisure, gifts. Because wealth without joy is slavery. Every dollar must march into one of these buckets. If it doesn't, it is a deserter weakening your army. Part 7. Practical System. The calendar of a Stoic time blocking is your weapon. Design your calendar like a Roman fortress. Daily deep work, 90 minutes. Revenue-generating skill or project. No phone, no interruptions. Reflection time, 20 minutes. Journaling or meditation, preferably in the morning. Marcus himself wrote daily reflections before war councils. Physical training, 30 minutes. The Stoic body is disciplined, not indulgent. Learning block, 30 minutes. Read, study, expand knowledge. Family community block, shared to 12 hours. The Stoic emperor did not neglect duty to people. Neither should you. Every hour without a mission is an hour lost to invaders. Exercises for the viewer. 1. The Cashflow audit tonight. Write down every expense from the last 7 days. Categorize into the 4 buckets. Ask, which bucket is bleeding? Where can I reassign soldiers? Money. 2. The calendar autopsy, tomorrow. For 24 hours, log every activity in 15-minute blocks. At the end, highlight which built wealth. Green, which maintained survival. Yellow, which wasted time. Red. Eliminate 1 red block permanently. 3. The non-negotiable hour, this week. Schedule 1 fixed daily hour for deep work. Do not break it. Treat it as if Rome itself depended on it because your empire does. 4. The weekly review, Sunday. Write, did I act as emperor of my time and money or as a slave? Score 110. Plan improvements. Part 1. Emotional retention. Spike, imagine 2 people. Both earn $5,000 a month. Person A spends $5,000 a month. Their calendar is filled with meetings they didn't choose. They feel rich for 5 minutes when the paycheck hits, then broke for 29 days. Person B spends $3,500, invests $1,000, uses 90 minutes or a day to learn sales. After 1 year, they increase income to $7,000. In 5 years, they are free. Same income. Different empire. The difference? Who was emperor of their cash flow and calendar? Pre-Esserenum. Brilliant Part X. Marcus Aurelius's reminder. Marcus wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Your wallet and your watch are not external enemies. They are internal commands waiting for your discipline. If you estimate them wrongly, they ruin you. If you estimate them rightly, they free you. Part 1. Transition to Rule 2. Radical Responsibility Rule 0 said, you own the empire of your mind. Rule 1 extends it. You own the empire of your money and your time. From here, we move to Rule 2, Frugality with Purpose, the Fortress Fund. Because even emperors need reserves of gold to withstand the siege. Rule 2, Frugality with Purpose, the Fortress Fund. Opening story. The Emperor's Empty Treasury. In 168 AD, Rome was bleeding. The Antonine Plague had decimated the empire, killing millions and draining its economy. Armies stationed at the front demanded pay. Citizens begged for relief. Markets collapsed. The treasury aunts, overflowing with gold from conquest, stood nearly empty. Most emperors before Marcus Aurelius would have chosen corruption, heavy taxes, or reckless spending to hide the crisis. But Marcus did something radical. He sold treasures from the palace itself, jewels, artworks, golden goblets, even furniture that once symbolized imperial glory. Why? To build reserves, to create a safety net, to buy time. Marcus understood something timeless. Without reserves, no empire can endure a siege. And without savings, no individual can endure life's inevitable storms. Here, Part 1. Why you need a fortress fund. Most people live as Rome did before Marcus took action, spending until the treasury's empty, hoping tomorrow's harvest will refill it. They are one unexpected emergency away from collapse. One medical bill, one job loss, one failed investment, one betrayal. That's all it takes to push them from stability to desperation. But millionaires, both ancient and modern, think differently. They build a fortress funda reserve of cash designed to protect them when chaos arrives. This is not fear. This is power. Bankrate reports that 57% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency. Think about that. More than half of an advanced nation is one accident away from panic. By contrast, a Fidelity survey found that 88% of self-made millionaires had at least 612 months of living expenses saved before they made their boldest investments. Their empires weren't built on sand. They were built on reserve-son fortresses. It's part 2, Stoic frugality versus miserable poverty. When people hear frugality, they imagine suffering. They picture eating plain rice, never enjoying coffee, living like a monk. But that is not Stoic frugality. Stoic frugality is not deprivation. It is liberation. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." True wealth is measured not by what you add, but by what you can subtract without fear. Frugality with purpose means this: you don't cut back to punish yourself. You cut back to empower yourself. Cutting Netflix while resenting it is weakness. Cutting a luxury car to fund investments is strength. Declining a night out to save for your fortress fund is not misery, it is mastery. Poverty says, I have no choice. Frugality says, I choose my priorities. Part through historical and modern examples. Marcus Aurelius himself demonstrated frugality with purpose. Selling palace treasures wasn't weakness, it was strategy. He preserved the empire by giving up what he could live without. Elon Musk risked nearly all his PayPal fortune on Tesla and SpaceX, but he always kept a runway fund to pay staff and maintain essential operations. Even when he slept on factory floors, his companies had reserves to survive. During the 2008 financial crisis, thousands of families lost homes. But families with 612 months of expenses saved were 70% less likely to default on their mortgages. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, McKinsey found that companies with strong cash reserves survived at 3 times the rate of companies without. The lesson is brutal. When chaos comes, and it always comes, reserves decide who collapses and who endures. To part numbers that wake you up. According to the Federal Reserve, 40% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. The average millionaire has at least 25% of their net worth in cash or near cash assets, not because they fear spending, but because they value security. A Vanguard study shows that people with emergency savings of just $5,000 are 3x more likely to start a business than those with nothing. Why? Because reserves create courage. Part 5, Building Your Fortress Fund. Here's how to do it, step by step. 1. Set the wall height minimum fortress, 3 months of expenses. Strong fortress, 6 months. Unbreakable fortress, 12 months. Calculate this today. If you spend $2,000 a month, your minimum fortress is $6,000. 2. Automatic saving ritual. Wealth is not built by memory or motivation, it is built by automation. On payday, transfer 120% of income into a separate account labeled Fortress Fund. 3. Make it sacred. This money is untouchable, not for vacations, not for gadgets, not for impulsive spending, only for survival and emergencies. Treat it like Rome's treasury. 4. Celebrate milestones. At 1 month saved, reward yourself with a simple celebration, a nature walk, a day of reflection. At 6 months, take a personal retreat to remind yourself of the power you built. At 12 months, you are financially armored. You've built your fortress? Part 6, Exercises for you. The fortress goal, write down your monthly expenses. Multiply by 6, that is your target. 2, the sacred account, open a new bank account today. Name it Fortress Fund. 3, automated transfer, automate 10% of all income into this account. No exceptions. 4, the what if journal, write, if I had 12 months of expenses saved, what bold move would I make? 5, the siege test, imagine losing your job tomorrow. How many days could you survive before borrowing or panicking? That number reveals your fortress wall height. Part 7. The emotional power of reserves. Why does a fortress fund matter beyond money? Because reserves buy peace. Peace to say no to a toxic boss. Peace to leave a bad deal. Peace to endure a crisis without fear. Peace to take bold risks when others are frozen in panic. Marcus Aurelius endured plagues and betrayal, but because he had reserves, he could still act like an emperor. Without reserves, you live as a slave to bills, to fear, to desperation. Part 8. Retention. Spike, a brutal question. If your income stopped today, how long could you last before begging, borrowing, or breaking? 30 days, 90 days, a year. That number is not just financial, it is your empire's true strength. The Marcus Aurelius reminder. Marcus knew palaces could fall, armies could betray, and markets could collapse. But reserves gave Rome resilience. His lesson to us: live simply, save wisely, and your wealth becomes unshakable. Transition to Rule 3. With Rule 2, you've built the fortress walls. But walls alone don't create growth. Gold sitting in the treasury must multiply. And that leads us to Rule 3. Endure and compound patience pays exponentially. Rule 3. Endure and compound patience pays exponentially. Opening story: The Emperor's Patience. In the frozen forests of Germania, Marcus Aurelius faced a war that dragged on for more than a decade. The legions were tired. Supplies were scarce. Every winter felt like a death sentence. Yet Marcus insisted on endurance. He knew that empires are not lost in a single battle, but in the slow erosion of discipline. He wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." For Marcus, patience was not weakness. It was a weapon. And for wealth, patience is not passivity, it is compounding. The same law that governs empires governs money. Endure long enough, and small efforts accumulate into unstoppable power. Chapter 1. Why compounding is the Stoic secret. Albert Einstein allegedly called compounding the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he said it or not, the truth remains. Compounding turns time into the most powerful asset you own. Invest $500 a month at 8% annual return for 30 years. You don't just save $180,000. You build over $745,000. Start with $10,000 at age 25 at 8%. By 65, you have $217,000. Start at 35, only $101,000. Compounding doesn't just add, it multiplies. The Stoic sees time not as an enemy, but as an ally. The impatient chase quick wins. The disciplined plant seeds. Then Part 2. Patience in finance. Patience in life. Marcus endured years of war, plague, and betrayal. He understood the virtue of waiting, of letting time test his resolve. Wealth is no different. Every impulsive trader wants a 200% return tomorrow. Every gambler wants to double in a night. But every true builder knows, slow compounding beats fast collapse. A Fidelity study of retirement accounts revealed something shocking. The best performing accounts were often those of people who had forgotten they even had accounts. Their money quietly compounded while others panicked. In life, patience compounds too. Reading 30 minutes a day for 10 years, you renasher 5,000 hours of study. Exercising 30 minutes a day for 20 years, shars 3,150 hours of strength. Writing 1 page a day, read a book every year. Small acts endured over time, build empires. Part the third. The brutal truth of impatience. Impatience destroys wealth faster than poverty. Day traders who chase every pump lose, on average, 80% of their funds within 12 months. According to the North American Securities Administrators Association, 78% of lottery winners go bankrupt within 5 years. They confuse sudden fortune with enduring wealth. Marcus warned, "Don't waste the rest of your life wondering what a good man should be. Be one." Applied to money, don't waste your life chasing what wealth should look like. Build it slowly, patiently, daily. Geo Part 4. Endurance as a financial fortress. Your fortress fund, Rule 2, protects you from sudden collapse. Compounding, Rule 3, grows your fortress into a city. Think of wealth as planting an oak tree. Year 1, fragile, almost invisible. Year 10, shade begins. Year 30, roots unshakable. Year 50, a forest grows. The impatient cuts the tree for firewood. The stoic waits and builds a forest. Part 5. Modern examples of patience paying exponentially. Warren Buffett built 99% of his net worth after age 50. Not because he suddenly became smarter, but because compounding had decades to do its work. Charlie Munger famously said, "The big money is not in the buying and selling, but in the waiting." Amazon lost 90% of its value in the dot-com crash, yet Jeff Bezos endured. Today it's worth over $1 trillion. J.K. Rowling wrote in poverty for years before her books compounded into the most successful literary franchise in history. Patience does not look glamorous, but results do. Part numbers. That prove the point. Vanguard shows that investing $200 a month from age 20 to 65 at 7% average return builds nearly $500,000. Waiting until age 30 to start? You'll only have about $240,000. 10 years of patience lost half the fortune. Exercising just 20 minutes daily reduces risk of death by 31%, according to the Mayo Clinic. Compounding health is as powerful as compounding wealth. Part 7. Exercises for the viewer. 1. The 30-year letter. Write a letter to your future self 30 years from now. Describe what patience built for you. 2. The compounding jar. Each day, put $1 into a jar. After 365 days, invest it. Watch small actions grow. 3. The patience calendar. You dedicate 1 block daily to a small but high-value activity: reading, skill practice, investing. Track streaks, not results. 4. The 48-hour rule. For big decisions, investments, purchases, wait 48 hours. Compounding requires cooling the fire of impulse. Part 8. Emotional retention. Spike, imagine you had invested just $1,000 in Apple stock in 1980. Today, it would be worth over $1.2 million. Now imagine you sold it after 1 year, impatient for results. You'd have maybe $1,500. The difference between poverty and wealth is not brilliance, it is patience. Marcus Aurelius reminder. Time is a river, a violent current of events glimpsed once and already carried past us. You cannot stop time, but you can choose to flow without them, using compounding as your ally. Transition to Rule 4. With Rule 3, you've learned the emperor's greatest weapon, patience. You've built your fortress and planted your seeds. Next comes the discipline of focus. Rule 4, focus over frenzy, the not-to-do list. Rule 4, focus over frenzy, the not-to-do list. Opening story: the emperor's discipline. In the Roman Senate, debates often dragged on for hours. Senators argued, gossiped, and fought over details that barely mattered. Marcus Aurelius would listen in silence, and then he would write in his journal later that night, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Marcus understood that focus was not about doing more. It was about doing less, but with precision. The empire could be lost not just from bad enemies, but from wasted energy. The same is true for your wealth. Most people fail not because they lack opportunity, but because they drown in distraction. They chase every shiny object, every next big thing, every trend. They spread their attention so wide that nothing compounds. Focus is the sword, frenzy is the disease, and the cure is simple but brutal: the not-to-do list. Why focus creates fortune? Look at history and modern wealth. The richest men and women are not those who did everything, but those who did one thing relentlessly. Warren Buffett made over 90% of his fortune from just 10 investments. Steve Jobs cut Apple's product line from dozens to just 4 when he returned in 1997. That focus saved Apple from bankruptcy. Marcus Aurelius himself, though emperor, often reduced his responsibilities to a single phrase: control yourself. Frenzy says, do it all. Focus says, do only what matters. Part 2. The cost of distraction studies prove it. The University of California, Irvine found that once distracted, it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain deep focus. Deloitte's research shows professionals waste 21.8 hours per week on low-value tasks, more than half of a work week. Multitasking reduces productivity by up to 40%, according to the American Psychological Association. Every notification, every just 5-minute scroll, every side project that doesn't align with your empire, it's a theft of your fortune. Marcus wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. If life is short, why waste it on the trivial? Part 3. The frenzy of modern wealth seekers. Think about it. 1 month someone buys crypto. Next month they chase real estate. The month after, they're into drop shipping. By year's end, they built nothing. One person starts 3 side hustles, none last more than 6 months. Another picks one, endures 5 years, and earns 6 figures. The first is frenzy. The second is focus. Wealth is not about doing more. It's about cutting what doesn't matter. Part 4. The Stoic framework, the not-to-do list. The Stoic emperor doesn't just choose what to do, he declares what not to do. This is your not-to-do list. 1. No FOMO trades. Oh, if you didn't plan it yesterday, don't buy it today. 2. No random courses or tools. Oh, only study what aligns with your chosen path. 3. No gossip, no drama. Oh, conversations without value are thefts of time. 4. No fake productivity. Oh, endless meetings, busy work, or checking email 50 times a day. 5. No energy vampires. Oh, people who drain without adding. This list is more powerful than your to-do list, because every no gives you back hours, energy, and cash flow. Part 5. Modern examples of focus over frenzy. Elon Musk built SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City, not by chasing hundreds of industries, but by focusing on one mission: sustainable energy and interplanetary survival. Michael Jordan became the greatest not by playing multiple sports full-time, but by focusing ruthlessly on basketball fundamentals. Marcus Aurelius didn't try to micromanage every senator, soldier, and citizen. He focused on controlling his own mind and leading by principle. That discipline outlasted the chaos around him. Part 6. Exercises for the viewer. The not-to-do list tonight. Oh, write 5 things you will no longer do. Post it above your desk. 2. The 1 skill rule this year. Oh, pick 1 skill to master over the next 12 months. Go deep, not wide. 3. The daily focus hour, starting tomorrow. Oh, 1 uninterrupted hour on your highest value task. No phone, no email. 4. The Sunday purge. Oh, every week, eliminate 1 distraction, an app, a subscription, or a commitment. 5. The frenzy test. Oh, ask before starting anything. Will this matter in 5 years? If no, drop it. Part 7. Emotional retention. Spike, imagine this. You are given 2 paths. Path A, you chase 10 different opportunities for 10 years. None succeed. Path B, you choose 1 path, endure 10 years. By year 10, you are a master. Which empire survives? The truth: frenzy builds ashes. Focus builds empires. Marcus Aurelius's reminder. Marcus wrote, concentrate every minute on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. Your fortune does not come from 1,000 scattered actions. It comes from a few disciplined ones. Transition to Rule 5. With Rule 4, you've cut away the noise. You've sharpened your sword. Next, you must learn what to do when that sword strikes and fails, when you lose, when you fall. That is Rule 5. Turn pain into a process. The post-loss protocol. Rule 5. Turn pain into a process. The post-loss protocol. Opening story: the emperor's loss. In 175 AD, Marcus Aurelius suffered one of the deepest wounds of his reign. His trusted general, Avidius Cassius, betrayed him, declaring himself emperor. Rome teetered on the edge of civil war. Many rulers would respond with rage, revenge, and executions. Marcus responded with process. He did not lose himself in grief or betrayal. Instead, he wrote, "If someone can show me I am wrong, I will gladly change. For I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." Marcus knew loss is inevitable. Betrayal, failure, collapse, they are part of life. The difference between ruin and resilience is what you do after. Wealth and life are not about avoiding pain. They are about turning pain into protocol. Trump. Part 1. Pain is the raw material of growth. Every empire, every entrepreneur, every individual will lose. Businesses fail, markets crash, friends betray, health declines. The Stoic accepts this. But where others see endings, the Stoic sees raw material. Pain is clay. You either let it harden into bitterness or mold it into strategy. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers. That pain became Harry Potter. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple. That pain became Pixar and eventually the rebirth of Apple. Nelson Mandela lost 27 years in prison. That pain became the foundation of South Africa's rebirth. The post-loss protocol begins here. Pain is not punishment. Pain is potential. Part 1. The 3 steps of the post-loss protocol. 1. Pause, do not react in frenzy. After loss, the natural impulse is panic. Sell everything. Scream at everyone. Burn bridges. Marcus teaches the pause. Write. Breathe. Wait. Loss burns hottest in the first 48 hours. Let the fire cool before acting. 2. Process, extract the lesson. Ask, what failed? Why? Was it my control or beyond it? What principle can I carry forward? Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." 3. Protocol. Install the lesson into the system. Every loss must end with a rule. If you lost money by chasing hype, write a new investment protocol. If you lost trust by poor judgment, write a rule for vetting partners. Loss becomes permanent wisdom when converted into permanent rules. Part 30. Wealth built from loss. Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater, lost nearly everything in 1982 from a bad prediction. That pain birthed his system of radical transparency and risk management. Today, Bridgewater manages over $150 billion. Elon Musk nearly lost Tesla in 2008. That pain taught him ruthless cash flow management. Now Tesla is worth over $600 billion. Howard Schultz, rejected by over 200 investors, turned Starbucks into a global empire because rejection hardened his process. Wealth is not built from wins alone. It is built from losses processed into protocols. Part 4. Numbers that prove it. According to Harvard Business Review, entrepreneurs who have experienced a failed startup are 20% more likely to succeed in their next venture compared to first-time founders. Studies show investors who log their losses and review them systematically improve returns by 35% annually. In health, patients who reframe setbacks into routines recover 30% faster than those who ruminate. Pain, when ritualized into process, compounds like money. Part 5. Exercises for the viewer. The 48-hour rule. After any loss, do not act for 48 hours. Journal instead. 2. The loss ledger. Keep a book. Record every failure. Next to it, write the rule you gained. 3. The autopsy ritual. Once a month, analyze one mistake. Ask, what was controllable? What will I change? 4. The post-loss affirmation. Write, this pain is not punishment. This pain is potential. Repeat daily after loss. Part 6. Emotional retention. Spike, imagine this. You lose $10,000 in a failed investment. One person curses, quits, never invests again. Another writes a new protocol. Diversify, demand fundamentals, never chase hype. 10 years later, who is wealthy? The one who used pain as tuition. Marcus Aurelius' reminder. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Loss is not the end of your empire. It is the raw material of your next fortress. Transition to Rule 6. With Rule 5, you have learned to convert wounds into wisdom. But the next danger is subtler: success itself. When victory tempts you into arrogance, you need Rule 6. Stay humble in victory, the emperor's mirror. Rule 6. Stay humble in victory, the emperor's mirror. Opening story: the emperor's triumph. In 176 AD, Marcus Aurelius returned to Rome after years of war. The city prepared a triumphal parade of glory reserved for victorious emperors. Citizens cheered, soldiers marched, treasures from conquered lands sparkled. Yet Marcus was not intoxicated. History records that as he entered the city, he ordered a slave to walk behind him, whispering in his ear, "You are only a man. Remember, you are mortal." Marcus knew victory is more dangerous than defeat. Defeat humbles you automatically. Victory tempts you into arrogance, and arrogance is the crack in the fortress that brings empires down. Part why humility multiplies wealth. The Stoic principle: success is not ownership, it is stewardship. When wealth arrives, the average person inflates their lifestyle. Bigger house, faster car, louder pride. The Stoic, however, asks, how can I protect this? How can I use it for service? History proves it. 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation, 90% by the third. Why? Arrogance replaces discipline. Companies that dominate markets often collapse within 20 years because leaders stop learning. Kodak, Blockbuster, MySpace, all destroyed by arrogance. Investors who get overconfident after a winning streak lose faster than cautious beginners. Humility multiplies because it keeps you learning. Arrogance destroys because it blinds you to change. Part 2. The Emperor's Mirror. Marcus wrote in Meditations, receive wealth or prosperity without arrogance, and be ready to let it go. The Emperor's Mirror is this: whenever success reflects back at you, look deeper. Do not see a god, see a servant of fate. In practical terms, after a promotion, remember you still bleed. After a big win in markets, remember it could reverse tomorrow. After applause, remember silence returns. The mirror is not to deny success. It is to remind you that success is not entirely yours. Fortune, timing, mentors, luck will play their role. Part 3. Modern examples of humility and victory. Warren Buffett still lives in the same modest house he bought in 1958, despite being worth over $100 billion. His humility preserved his focus. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, turned the company around not by arrogance, but by adopting a learn-it-all, not know-it-all mindset. Marcus Aurelius himself refused to carve his name into monuments. His victories were credited to Rome, not to Marcus alone. Contrast them with arrogance. Napoleon crowned himself emperor, ignoring tradition. Within years, his arrogance destroyed France's stability. Countless lottery winners lose everything because they mistake luck for skill. Part 4. Numbers that prove it. Harvard Business Review: humble leaders have teams with 20% higher performance compared to arrogant leaders. Research from UC Berkeley shows wealth increases a person's feeling of entitlement, but those who deliberately practice humility maintain stronger social and business networks. In investing, overconfident traders underperform the market by 57% annually. Humility is not just virtue, it is strategy. Part bot exercises for the viewer. 1. The Victory Journal. After every win, write down at least 3 external factors that contributed: mentors, timing, luck. 2. The Humility Anchor. Keep one object from your humble beginnings: a cheap watch, old shoes. Look at it after every success. 3. The Gratitude Letter. Each time you achieve a goal, write a thank you note to someone who helped. 4. The Mortality Reminder. Weekly, reflect. If I died tomorrow, how would I want to be remembered? 5. The Silence Ritual. After applause or praise, Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Let pride cool. Part 6. Emotional retention. Spike, imagine this. You earn $1 million tomorrow. Path A. You inflate. Buy luxury. Demand recognition. Within 5 years, it is gone. Path B. You stay humble. Invest quietly. Live simply. Teach your children discipline. Within 20 years, it multiplies tenfold. Which path will you walk? It's Marcus Aurelius' reminder. Marcus wrote, "Soon you will have forgotten all things. Soon all things will have forgotten you. Victory is temporary. Humility makes it meaningful." Transition to Rule 7. With Rule 6, you've learned to remain grounded when the world lifts you up. Now comes the hardest battle, not with others, but with yourself. Rule 7, master the inner arena. Conquer your thoughts before they conquer you. Rule 7, master the inner arena. Conquer your thoughts before they conquer you. Opening story. The arena inside Marcus Aurelius commanded the most powerful army in the world. He ruled an empire of 60 million souls. Yet in meditations he confessed, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He knew the greatest battles were not fought in Germania's forests or Rome's Senate. They were fought in the mind. Fear, envy, anger, despair. These invisible enemies have destroyed more empires than swords ever did. If you cannot command your thoughts, you will lose even with gold, armies, and titles. But if you master the inner arena, nothing external can enslave you. Your part. The Stoic battlefield. The Stoics divided life into two domains. What you control, your mind, choices, actions. What you cannot control, weather, markets, death, other people's opinions. Most people reverse this. They obsess over markets, gossip, politics, and what others think, things they cannot control. Meanwhile, they neglect their mind, the one fortress they could master. Marcus warned, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Every wasted thought is a stolen life." Part 2, How Thoughts Shape Fortune. A fearful mind sells at the bottom of the market. An arrogant mind over-leverages and loses millions. An undisciplined mind scrolls away years of opportunity. But a calm mind holds through crashes and emerges wealthier. A patient mind compounds. A focused mind creates art, companies, and legacies. Wealth does not start in banks, it starts in thoughts. Part 3, The Stoic Tools for Inner Mastery. 1. The Thought Journal. Marcus wrote nightly. Seneca wrote letters. Epictetus lectured. They knew, write it down or be ruled by it. Journaling drags thoughts into daylight where they lose power. 2. The dichotomy of control. Drill each morning, list 2 columns. Within my control, outside my control. Act only on the first, release the second. 3. Negative visualization. Imagine losing what you love, health, wealth, family, not to suffer, but to prepare. Fear shrinks when faced directly. Gratitude grows. 4. The breath anchor. Marcus practiced meditative breathing. Inhale discipline. Exhale frenzy. The body obeys the breath. 5. Voluntary discomfort. Practice hardship. Cold showers, fasting, silence. When the mind learns to endure discomfort willingly, life's blows cannot enslave it. 4. Modern examples of inner mastery. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, endured the camps by mastering his thoughts. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude. Naval Ravikant, angel investor, teaches mental clarity before wealth. Play long-term games with long-term people. Kobe Bryant trained his mind as fiercely as his body, visualizing every shot, every scenario. His inner arena created his outer greatness. Part 5, Numbers that prove it. The American Institute of Stress. 77% of people experience stress that affects health and finances. Harvard research. Mindfulness practices improve decision-making under pressure by 23%. Yale study. Just 15 minutes of daily journaling reduces anxiety and improves problem solving. Inner mastery is not philosophy alone. It is statistically profitable. Regarding Part 6. Exercises for the viewer. 1. The morning drill O. Write 2 lists. Control and not control. Plan only for the first. 2. The evening reflection, a journal. 1 page. What thought ruled me today? Did it serve or enslave me? 3. The negative visualization. Once a week, imagine losing one comfort. Then cherish it anew. 4. The breath count. 5 minutes. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Calm the storm. 5. The discomfort habit. Choose one voluntary hardship weekly. Train your mind to embrace, not resist. To Part 7. Emotional retention. Spike, imagine this. You own millions, yet cannot sleep because of anxiety. You have status, yet crumble at criticism. You hold power, yet remain a slave to your own rage. That is not wealth. That is prison. Now imagine. You lose money, yet remain calm. You face betrayal, yet stay grounded. You face death, yet greet it without fear. That is freedom. That is mastery. Marcus Aurelius' reminder. Marcus wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Master your thoughts and you master your life. Fail and your empire is rubble even if the marble still stands." Now transition to Rule 8. With Rule 7, you've conquered the inner arena. Now the challenge expands. How you lead others. Empires rise and fall not by gold or armies, but by leadership. This is Rule 8. Lead with service. Wealth as responsibility. Rule 8. Lead with service, wealth as responsibility. Opening story. The emperor who served Marcus Aurelius wore purple, but lived like a soldier. He was emperor, yet he ate with his troops, slept in the cold tents of the frontier, and shared their hardships. In Meditations, he never wrote about power as privilege. He wrote about power as duty. Do not act as if you had 1,000 years to live. While you live, while you are able, be good. For Marcus, leadership was not ruling, it was serving. Wealth and power were not trophies, they were responsibilities. Part 1. The Stoic definition of leadership. To the Stoics, leadership was not domination. It was stewardship. Domination demands recognition. Stewardship delivers service. The leader exists to serve those he leads, just as wealth exists to serve the world beyond the self. Marcus reminded himself daily, what is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee. Leadership is not about the bee, it is about the hive. Part 2. Why service creates wealth that lasts. History is filled with wealthy men who lost it all because they served only themselves. The Medici family rose through service to Florence, then fell when arrogance replaced duty. Modern corporations rise when they serve customers, then collapse when they serve only shareholders. Politicians earn loyalty when they serve the people, then lose it when they chase personal glory. Wealth without service is sand. Wealth with service is stone. The part that for modern examples of service-driven leadership. Marcus Aurelius. Despite being emperor, he sold palace treasures during a famine to fund aid for his people. Andrew Carnegie. After building an empire in steel, he dedicated his fortune to libraries, universities, and education. Elon Musk, controversial as he may be, repeatedly emphasizes solving humanity's challenges, energy, space, AI over mere profit. Contrast with self-serving leaders. Dictators who hoarded wealth while people starved, history remembers them with contempt. CEOs who chased short-term profits while neglecting workers' companies that burned bright, then died fast. To Radio Watan Part 4, Numbers that Prove Service pays Deloitte survey. Companies with a strong sense of purpose grow 3 times faster than those without. Gallup. Engaged employees, those who feel their leaders care to deliver, 21% more profitability. Harvard Business School. Leaders focused on service retain customers 2x longer than self-serving ones. Serving is not just noble, it is profitable. Shramene referres to Reikioman Kaniparfitfarmi. Stoic practices for service leadership. 1. The beehive testo ask. Does this decision help the hive? If not, it will ultimately harm you too. 2. The circle of gratitudo. Each week, thank 3 people whose unseen labor supports your wealth: assistants, workers, mentors. 3. The servant's meal. Once a month, share a meal at the level of those you lead. Eat what they eat. Listen to their concerns. 4. The legacy question write down. If I lost my wealth today, what service would still define me? 5. The silent audit before sleep ask. Whom did I serve today besides myself? Part 6. Emotional retention. Spike imagined 2 billionaires. The first hoards, flaunts, and demands worship. He dies. Within 10 years, his fortune dissolves, his name forgotten. The second builds schools, funds cures, mentors leaders. He dies. Centuries later, his name lives on in libraries, hospitals, ideas. Which one do you want to be? Marcus Aurelius. Reminder: Marcus wrote, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Leadership is not power over people, it is responsibility for people. Wealth is not freedom from duty, it is duty itself. Transition to Rule 9. With Rule 8, you've seen wealth as responsibility. Next comes a harder truth. All things, fortune, health, even life, are temporary. How do you hold them? This is Rule 9. Practice detachment, own nothing, master everything. Rule 9. Practice detachment, own nothing, master everything. Opening story. The Emperors. Robe one evening, after a long day of ruling the empire, Marcus Aurelius looked at his robe dyed purple, stitched in gold. He wrote in Meditations, "Clothes are but sheep's wool dyed with shellfish blood. Purple is nothing but that." He stripped away illusion. To him, wealth was not wealth, it was fabric, stone, metal. He practiced detachment, to see things as they are, not as desire paints them. Detachment did not mean poverty, it meant freedom. He could enjoy the robe but not be enslaved by it. Part 1. Why detachment creates true power. Attachment enslaves. Detachment liberates. A man who clings to money becomes its servant. A man detached from money can use it wisely. A man who clings to praise becomes fragile. A man detached from praise becomes unstoppable. Stoics taught, the less you cling, the more you control. He who owns nothing in his heart can master everything in his hands. Choice Part 2. The Wealth Illusion. Most people live in illusion. Gold feels permanent, but economies collapse. Bodies feel strong, but disease comes. Fame feels eternal, but memory fades. Detachment pierces illusion. You still work, still build, still earn, but without worship. You own things without letting things own you. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Part 3. Modern examples of detachment. Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck daily. Detachment freed his energy for creation. Jack Dorsey walks miles to work, eats 1 meal a day, voluntary detachment to sharpen mind. Marcus Aurelius slept on simple bedding in war, even as emperor. Contrast: celebrities addicted to fame destroyed by the loss of it, investors addicted to greed, bankrupted by overreach. So Part 4. Numbers that prove it, Journal of Happiness. Studies: people with lower material attachment report higher life satisfaction regardless of income. UC Berkeley. Gratitude practices, a form of detachment from more, improve happiness by 25%. Credit Karma. 78% of lottery winners go bankrupt within 7 years because attachment ruled them. Part V. Stoic practices of detachment. The object reduction. Look at possessions and strip labels. Gold, jars metal. Mansion, jars stone and wood. Car, jars steel on wheels. 2. The fasting drill. Skip meals. Comfort, luxuries. Realize you don't need them to survive. 3. The impermanence meditation. Imagine each thing you love decaying, house crumbles, body ages, wealth vanishes, except impermanence. 4. The gratitude reversal, or instead of asking, what do I want more of? Ask, what can I appreciate even if it disappeared tomorrow? 5. The borrowed time reflection. Daily remind yourself, nothing is mine, all is borrowed, return it with grace. Shakutrona Yuida Wishisari Part 6, Emotional Retention Spike. Imagine tomorrow you lose your home, your savings, your career. If attachment rules you, you collapse. If detachment guides you, you adapt, rebuild, rise again. Detachment is not weakness. It is the unbreakable strength that no loss can destroy. Marcus Aurelius Reminder. Marcus wrote, when you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, she may not be here tomorrow. Do not make her a possession, but a blessing. To detach is to love deeper, because you see the fragile truth. Nothing is truly yours. Transition to Rule 10. With Rule 9, you've learned freedom from possessions. Now comes the final law, the crown of Stoic wealth. Rule 10. Leave a legacy of wisdom, not just wealth. Rule 10. Leave a legacy of wisdom, not just wealth. Opening story, the Emperor's Last Gift. In 180 AD, Marcus Aurelius lay dying in Vindobona. Around him, generals, advisors, and his son Commodus waited. He could have spoken of palaces, conquests, treasures. Instead, his final lessons were not about gold or power, but about virtue, duty, and wisdom. His true legacy was Meditations, a private journal of reflections, never meant for fame, that outlived empires. 2,000 years later, his words still guide CEOs, soldiers, students, and dreamers. His empire crumbled, but his wisdom multiplied. Part 1. The Fragility of Wealth, the Endurance of Wisdom. Palaces fall, Rome's marble lies in ruins. Coins fade, currencies are replaced, devalued. Dynasties vanish, bloodlines end. Names forgotten. But words endure, ideas survive. A single book can outlast 1,000 fortresses. Marcus' wealth is dust. His wisdom still earns interest, paid daily by every life it transforms. Part 2. What true legacy means. Legacy is not inheritance, it is influence. Inheritance gives children money. Legacy gives them values. Inheritance lasts a generation. Legacy lasts centuries. Inheritance can be wasted. Legacy can only be multiplied. Seneca wrote, life is long if you know how to use it. The way you use your life becomes your children's true inheritance. Part. Modern examples of legacy beyond wealth. Mahatma Gandhi left no fortune. His legacy of nonviolence reshaped nations. Mother Teresa died with nothing, yet her influence spans continents. Steve Jobs left billions, but his greater legacy was design philosophy. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Contrast. Countless heirs squander fortunes because they inherited wealth without wisdom. Empires with riches but no values collapse into chaos. Part 4. Numbers that prove wisdom outlast gold. Studies show 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation, 90% by the third. But families who pass on values and practices sustain wealth far longer. Harvard Grant study, emotional intelligence and values predict life satisfaction more strongly than income. Pew Research. Only 20% of people remember their great-grandparents' wealth, but over 60% remember their teachings or stories. Part 5. Stoic Practices to Leave a Legacy. 1. The Wisdom Journal. Write your lessons, victories, failures. 1 page a day can outlive you. 2. The Value Conversations. Weekly. Speak with your children or mentees not about money, but about principles. 3. The Action Testament. Lead by example. Live in a way that becomes the manual for those who follow. 4. The Service Project. Dedicate part of your wealth to service, education, charity, mentorship. Turn money into meaning. 5. The Echo Test. Ask, If my words were echoed for 200 years, would I be proud of them? Part 6. Emotional retention. Spike imagined two fathers. One leaves his children $10 million. Within 15 years, it is gone. His grandchildren remember him only as the man who left money. Another leaves modest savings, but also journals of lessons, rituals of discipline, stories of courage. His grandchildren grow into leaders, creators, mentors. His name echoes for generations. Which father are you becoming? Marcus Aurelius. Reminder Marcus wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Your life is your legacy, not your house, not your bank account. The values you live echo beyond death." Font for my motivational closing the Stoic Millionaire's crown. We have walked through 10 rules of Marcus Aurelius for building not just wealth, but a wealthy life. From responsibility, discipline, humility, detachment, to service and legacy. The crown is this: money is a tool. Wisdom is a kingdom. Wealth fades. Wisdom reigns forever.